Hi and welcome to my channel. In today's video I'll be talking about this book, The City and Its Uncertain Walls by Haruki Murakami. So this was published last year in Japan, it's being published in Norway today, but it's not being published in English before November this year. Feels kind of strange, it's not that often that we Norwegians get to talk about big books like this before they're published in English, but it feels great. For those of you that have been watching my videos for a while, you know that I love Murakami, and I can honestly say that I've never been this excited for a book launch ever. So I asked the publisher if they would send me a copy, and they kindly did, because I wanted to read it as fast as I possibly could. And so I did. I'm also going to do my first ever giveaway on this channel, so please just follow along and I'll explain it all to you later. Also, I'm going to try to keep this book review spoiler free since it's not being published in English for quite some time. Then I'll give you all an opportunity to check it out by yourselves. So let's get started. This edition is around 500 pages. I think I saw somewhere that the American version is going to be like 432 pages or something like that. And as you might expect, it's about a city inside a wall that might or might not exist. So it's just what you can expect from a Murakami novel in that sense. Murakami actually started this story in 1980 when he published a short story with the same name. But he has written in this one that he felt like he could never let it go and it was not fulfilled, so he needed to write a bigger story around that story. So that's this. If you feel like my synopsis of this novel was a bit short, you might be correct. But when I try to tell it in another way, it just doesn't work. The things that says on the back here is factually correct, but I don't feel like it's the gist of the story, so you might just have to read it yourself. To me, it was impossible to read the new book without comparing it to 1Q84. This is by far my favorite novels by Murakami, and they're both about parallel universes, sort of. They're both love stories, not in the conventional way, but they are. I would say the main difference is that this is a little bit more philosophical. It gets you thinking. It's not going to work reading this without being set on thinking a little bit about, is this real, is it not, and like bigger questions. Just take, for example, the wall in itself. Is it just a metaphor for how you're feeling and what is closed inside you? What feelings can't you just let go out there? All those kinds of things. But this is a bit more, you know what the goal is, or at least you know who the bad guys are and what they're trying to achieve. Here it's a bit diffuse or a bit harder to grasp. And I actually struggled to accept this as a Murakami novel in the beginning. It's split into 3 parts. The first part is pretty much a young man or boy meets a young woman. They're 16 and 17. They fall in love, sort of. The girl disappears and the man tries to find her. And he seeks out this wall and this city within this wall. But the thing is that when I read Murakami novels, I'm so prepared to stay in the Japanese sphere of things. I've never been to Japan, but through Murakami's books I feel like I have. And this first part is more what I imagine to be a classical fantasy world, sort of like a big castle and guards, and it's all the things you expect from the Middle Ages and fiction written about the Middle Ages, especially fantasy. But when part number 2 comes along, it's like a wave of Murakami comes washing over you and you feel right at home. It was almost a bit comical. I was so relieved when part number 2 came, because then I felt like this is what I was looking for. And it's not always easy to explain why this is. It's just a good feeling. The first part actually made me think of Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, because it's a little bit the feeling of wanting closure, wanting to understand what is happening, and being a little bit trapped because you don't know what boundaries there are out there. So this is the first time since I read this one that I read something that reminded me of it. And it's a good thing, but it's, let's just say that I imagine Murakami and Clarke to have a lot to talk about if they meet, or if they have met, I don't know. Language-wise, I feel like this novel also shifts a bit. The first part has a lot of sentences starting something like I, or you, or me, just because you don't really know who you are talking to. And I read the first part at 50% of my usual reading speed just to get it all in there and try to understand what is going on, even though after a while I just gave up. But those kinds of sentences are kind of frustrating. Also, you have the thing where he sometimes pauses and breaks the fourth wall and talks directly to us, breaks a pattern. That's also a bit... I don't like it, but I accept it. And reading this, I felt quite often that he does some things that could annoy me, but they don't, because I love his books and I love the way he writes in general. So the small things that might annoy me a lot when reading other authors, if I don't particularly like the book at all, just doesn't happen when I read Murakami. So it's an unfair advantage. But also, as I touched upon, I feel like it's written in a way that forces me to take part more actively than I would other books, which increasingly makes me indulge in it and want to be a part of it, no matter how it's set up, I guess. The characters I felt had less strong traits than in other Murakami books I've read. They're more plain people, but what struck me is that they don't have any ties. Many of them don't have families, they don't have children, they don't have anyone, they have themselves, and that enables them to do whatever they want. I do really enjoy reading books about people that don't have commitments. I have a lot of commitments, so maybe it's just like mirroring my own everyday life, but it feels refreshing reading about these quirky, unusual characters without anything special about them. I've been thinking about this a lot. There are people that it's like they only have a 1% touch of weirdness, but it's enough that you're all the time while reading wondering, are you going to become something else? Are you going to develop into this monster or something like that? Even though that doesn't happen, I appreciate my own feeling of wonder. And I guess that's one thing I do really love about Murakami books. You never know what's going to happen, and if you did, it would be boring. I tried making a list of the things I didn't enjoy about this novel to try and critique it properly, but the things I wrote was sort of, I shouldn't have liked this. I don't understand exactly why I do, because there are many things that I shouldn't like. Take the aspect of magical realism, for example. I've tried reading several books with magical realism, but it often feels forced. But in his books, it's more just like a lifestyle. You're so used to him writing these kinds of things, and I don't ever want him to quit. So I do enjoy it, but I wouldn't have enjoyed it with 99% of other authors, I guess. Also the thing where I'm confused, I have no idea where all this is heading. I get a bit anxious. Why can't I understand what is going on? These things really, really bother me with other authors and other books, because there's nothing left to grasp. But the way his characters are quirky, the way he writes about philosophical stuff that I can't wrap my head around, but they're still interesting, just makes me want to stay in his universe. And then if he goes into Japan and ordinary people's lives and describe them, I just love it. But now I thought I'd speak about my giveaway, because the publisher asked me if I wanted more of these, we call them nets in Norwegian. It's for carrying stuff. You can put stuff in here, whatever you like. And for those of you that are not Norwegian, how cool is it, or how hipstery would it be having one of these nets with the Norwegian title of the new Murakami book? I feel like that's like a hipster level 1000 or something like that. So I thought the thing you need to be in the competition is to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. I think I'll keep it as plain and simple as that. So if you do that, subscribe and then leave a comment, you'll be in the competition. And I think I'll do the what's it called? I'll do a raffle. Is that it? The winners will be announced 1 week after this video is being published, is my thinking. I don't know how many of these I'll get, but we'll come back to that later, I guess. To sum this book up, I really enjoyed it. After getting through part number 1, it all became beautiful again, and I felt right at home. So I guess for all of you that enjoy Murakami's novels, I don't think this will disappoint you. So check out this book if you can, subscribe to the channel and comment to be able to win the carrying thing. And thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!